Hey, what's up, guys? It is Collectors Company once again doing some more recap of things happening in the Brisbane OCE Card Fest that took place this weekend. We got a different face from first time making his appearance on the channel, Jun. Jun, what did you do today?
So I was playing SSG Trunks. This is the leader. We're up here in Brisbane doing the DBS Card Fest. Ended up X1. Was a really good day for me.
End up finishing 5th overall. So thanks for doing deck profile with us, man. And we'll just go through your matchups, bits of that, and So how are your matchups today?
So to start us off, I was versing green Gotenks. Was a pretty straightforward matchup. Just play thwarting, warp their cards, keep doing that until
they run out of Grim Reaper, right?
Exactly, just until you had the card advantage. Then I versed a mono blue Soul Striker. Shout out to Nick. I versed him a lot. So,
you knew the matchup.
It was actually, in testing, it felt very 50-50. But Nick has been playing that deck so much that it was pretty easy, I would like to say. And then I versed Invoker, which was actually my one loss of the day. Unfortunately, I haven't had much experience in that matchup. Couldn't clutch out that game. Unfortunately, I got the
Apex, yeah?
I got Apex and my Ss4 Gogeta got counterplayed. I forget what it's called.
Royal
Condemnation.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, hits 8 or less.
Yeah, unfortunately, double sensor beam, can't go for low plays, got to go high. Didn't work. Then I versed U7. Play tested a lot against John. Pretty straightforward matchup, especially if you're going first. As we'll see in the deck, there's plenty of tech for that, petrification in particular. Then I versed a red-blue Soul Striker. That game was over before it started.
Wow, okay. Not even close.
Well, I won the dice roll. So his turn 2, he tapped out, doing a draw rate. Passed it back to me, I have 3 energy, he's tapped out. I just absolutely ran him over. The game was over in less than 5 minutes.
That's crazy. The confidence over in 5 minutes. Speedrunning got nuts. And what were your last matchups?
My last matchup was Universe 7 again. Pretty much exact same as the other Universe 7. It feels like a pretty good matchup, I would say.
Yeah, awesome. Well, anyway, let's get into the deck profile. So obviously, you briefly showed it before. You're running God Trunks, the new leader from the new set. So quick question, why would you run this over Gogeta Zeno, which is obviously the most popular black deck right now?
I generally don't actually play aggro decks. Obviously, Benny was playing it. I don't really like to play decks that my friends are playing as well. Gogeta Zeno is a bit too aggro for me. I don't own a fair bit of the other...
the Kais, right?
No, the Gogetas. So I didn't buy set 12.
Right.
That's where most of the Gogeta Zeno stuff is. And
yep.
I don't have it.
Right.
I don't think I would play it even if I did. It just doesn't really...
Doesn't fit your style. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, let's get into this bad boy.
Yeah, so he is a Black Sane leader. His active main, which is very relevant because it's uninteractive, you can do it on your own terms.
Yep.
You warp a black card from your hand, and then you draw 2, which is just amazing because, as you'll see in the deck, there are cards that you play from the warp, so it's essentially like a +3. It's absolutely absurd.
Right, awesome.
That also fuels your Awaken, which is if you have 5 or more Black Sanes in the warp, you can Awaken. You don't have to take life, which is amazing because a lot of the time I Awaken on like 7 life, and they have to beat me down when I'm awakened.
It's rough.
It's very rough. Otherwise, if they hit me to 4, then I can Awaken as well.
Yeah, and you're an untap 1, draw 1, correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. And then this bad boy, this leader looking fire, you know? Crimson Warrior,
That's
Trunks.
another reason why I picked it. It is one of the best looking leaders in the set. So he's actually got the keyword blocker, which is relevant because when someone attacks your Unison, he untaps himself, and then you can trigger the blocker, so you can negate the Unison attack. Then his active main becomes an auto. When you swing with him, you actually draw 2 first and then warp 1. So seeing the options first before you warp is incredible. And that means on your awaken turn, you're actually seeing like 5 cards in a single turn.
Yeah, your leader alone draws 5 cards, 2 in the front, and then you awaken another one, then that draw 2, then warp 1. So that's yeah, a lot of consistency just from the leader alone.
Yeah, it's very hard to break with this deck. Then he's got an activate main once per turn, Spirit Boost, and for 1 energy, you place 2 black battle cards from your warp back into your drop area, which fuels your overrealm. And then you just choose any one of their battle cards and you warp it.
Yeah, awesome. Very good
Just
removal.
inbuilt removal.
Inbuilt
like,
removal,
why not?
yeah. And you were saying before you awaken at high life, so a combo of protecting unison and blocking, able to get those cards when you want and saving unison feels just, it seems nice, seems good.
Yeah, actually my opponents played around it pretty well like all day. It just never... Oh, it came up once where I blocked a unison swing. But
Okay.
other than that, they kind of just... The unison doesn't seem like much of a threat because it's pretty basic, I would say. We'll see. But it is the draw engine of the deck. It is
It is the draw engine. Leader's draw engine probably means good. Alright, so let's get into the deck then.
Alright. So first off, we've got 3 of these trunks. They're just searches, one cost, Black Saiyan 4 or less, or your unison, which is very important because you want to see your unison turn 2. It's very hard to awaken turn 2 or 3 if you don't have your unison.
Cool.
Next card. I run 4 True Fighting Spirit just because it's the best thwarting target for Goku. I've run one of these because I feel like the double strike one is too hard to use in this deck. It's double strike by default, but being only 5k, just being able to draw one if you have to, cycle it, just adds a little bit more consistency to the deck, and it's foil as well. So
It's foil, yeah. Simple cantrip, play 1, draw 1. Only from your hand, by the way. So if you're a GX player, if you want to play this from your drop or warp, you do not draw a card.
yeah. So the next cards are the Vegetas, which I run 3 True Fighting Spirit and 4 of the Super Combo. True Fighting Spirit, great against blue. Didn't actually end up playing it today. I didn't find that I needed it. I just hit everything I needed in those matchups. Black, it's the best black super combo. It goes without saying that we play it.
Yeah.
It works well with the Gogeta engine, and it's just yeah,
It's a Vegeta, you know?
just like my leader. I'm seeing 2 cards and getting rid of one. Like it, I just see so many cards in this deck. It's kind of ridiculous.
Cool.
So the next card is what I consider the worst card in the deck. It's the Pan Floodgate. This card has been underperforming, but I still play it because it's a black Floodgate, which is quite rare. They're normally leader specific. It plays itself for 1 as well, and you can combo it off. It actually doesn't negate the attack, but other than that, it's a topo effect, discard 2 on battle card swings. It just gets stopped by so many things in the meta at the moment, though. It's very hard to play. I played it a couple of times, and it's good when it comes out and resolves, but really it's just in there to be a black Floodgate that's also a Saiyan for your leader.
Right, okay. Would you ever play cut this and play Oceanus in the main instead, or is it just mainly due to the fact that this card is a Saiyan card?
It's because it is a Saiyan card that I play this. My list is 58 cards, and I run 42 Saiyans. So it's about when I'm doing my burst 3s off different cards, which we'll see in a second, it's about a 66% chance that I'm going to see a...
All 3.
Well, 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
For the numbers, fair enough. Very nice.
Then we play 4 of this Gohan. He is one of the MVPs of the deck. You have to see him turn 1. So what you do is you warp it with the leader, you pay 1, he plays himself, and you warp the top 3 of the deck. So that's fueling your awaken. He's a blocker as well. I versed a lot of slower decks today, so I ended up swinging with him most of the time just to aggro them down. Like 2 Soul Strikers and 2 U7s. It's just good beat stick. Just do a bit of chip damage to start the game. In the late game though, because it's in your warp again, you overwhelm it or however you get it back in there. Playing it again for a
1 energy.
1 energy blocker, recycles itself. It's really good.
Yeah, for sure. Having a card you can always have access to that is relevant every time. Being a 5k combo, the fact that's a blocker stops one attack for an energy. It's a good deal.
Yeah. The next card in the deck is the Kai Negate. Just good card. By default, it's basically on with your leader. Like, if you did nothing except leader skill for the first 3 turns, you would have it active. Normally, I have it activated turn 1.
Because, the Gohan feels
Yeah,
like
the
instantly.
Gohan, exactly. If not, turn 2 from the Unison, which
Yep.
we'll see.
Cool.
Yeah, just good card. Stops a lot of stuff like U7,
Good as SCRs, funnily enough.
SCRs, yes. All the cards that say get removed. If it's removed from the game. Yeah, just good card. The next card is Ss3 Trunks. This is another card that gets played from the Warp. So he's Spirit Boost 1, Limits 1 for 1 black, and you can play him from the Warp. He's unique as well, but the big thing is, if there are 10 or more black cards in your Warp, when he just gains Double Strike, and it's permanent as well. This card is very good if you have a Unison out. Otherwise, you just charge it, you just discard it. It's basically a Teoh.
Yeah, sure, actually, I never thought of it like that. I think a big thing about it as well, again, so many of the cards can be played from the Warp. We're not even like halfway through your deck already, and I already know there's more coming. But yeah, just the utility of seeing cards in the Warp and just being able to play them any time in the game just feels really nice because you're not taxing your hand at all.
Well, you don't get to combo from your Warp, but you can kind of think of your Warp like your second hand, because you can just play your cards for like 1 or 2 energy from the Warp anyway, and recycle them as well. Like, then once they get killed, they're not actually gone, they're just going to come back. So most of the time I just outvalue my opponents just by having more resources available to me. The next card is SSG Trunks. Gotta play it. It's a 20k beat stick twice. It's got Deflect, which means it gets around a lot of the stuff in the meta. It's actually another card that you can play from the Warp, so that will be triggering your Unison, which we will see. Yeah, it's just a phenomenal card. I used to only have 3, and it felt lacking. You have to run it at 4.
Would you say this is the best card in the deck? Or arguably one of?
Definitely top 3,
Top
if
3.
not like the best. It is just
That good.
so good. And it's ridiculous that it's not unique.
Yeah, you can play you can spam multiple of these out in a single turn and just get so much
Yeah,
more
if they're not
additional
dealt
swings.
with, it's just the game's over. Just one of
Sure, you do
Marseille,
own one of those.
Brainwash No More. I like Bardock. I just basically wanted him in the deck. The card looks cool. It can catch people sleeping if they're not careful. I didn't use it a single time. I think I sided it out every single game that I sided. But yeah, it's just in the deck, just in case.
Hey, pay 1, win the game, you know?
Yeah,
Seems
exactly.
Good. Seems
And
good.
if you have it, they have to respect it. If they see it somewhere in your drop or walk,
Exactly.
You might have a second
And
one.
worst comes to worst, it's an Overwhelm 6 as well.
Yep.
The next card, one of Fighting Against Fate.
Because you like Bardock.
I like Bardock. If you wanted to play this properly, you'll probably play 2 of these Secret ID. On another Bardock.
No, the Bardocks, yeah.
But I like the art. I wanted to have a Fighting Against Fate, and it actually did win me a game where I took someone from 3 to 0 by swinging with him once and then double striking him, dumping hand. That was actually the Red Blue Soul Striker 5-minute game.
The speedrun game.
The speed run. Yeah, so goes without saying, Secret ID, phenomenal Overwhelm. And the good thing is about this deck, everything is basically Overwhelm 6, which is perfect for the Trunks.
Who put 6 back?
Who put 6 back, exactly. Next card, 4 Beyond All Limits.
This card's insane.
I didn't realize how good it was until I properly started playing this deck. Just being able to have a free 30k, basically draw a card.
And not just any, just not
choose the card you
choose
draw.
the card. Yeah.
Most of the time it's thwarting. You don't really want to grab anything except for a thwarting or the next turn's Overwhelm, because these cards all want to be in the Warp.
Also can grab back the Kai Negate as well, which is huge.
Yes, it can.
Yeah.
I did do that once, I think.
Yeah, everyone knows the black combo. 4 of this, 4 thwarting, and 4 trunks, and you're just set. That's your turn 3, you know?
Exactly. Speaking of thwarting, here comes the man himself. Best one drop in the game.
Yep. Yep.
If you're playing black, aggro, mid-range,
Anything.
anything except Hatchiyak, basically.
Even Hatch can make an argument, you know?
Exactly. It's just like, if you have it, you should play it.
Yeah, if you can play it, you should play it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that good.
Do you ever struggle getting the Union Fusion? I know you can choose to send cards to the warp with your leader skill, but you have to send the cards that like help you get more cards in the warp. But do you feel like you missed the being able to play this on earlier turns, or do you feel like when you wanted to play it, you always could?
The only reason I wouldn't ever play it on turn 2 is if I didn't have enough Saiyans in the warp to actually awaken, because I want to play the Unison, which taps me out.
Yep.
If I can't awaken, then I don't have the energy to actually play it.
Yep.
Otherwise, you've got 5 Gokus and 7 Vegetas.
Yep.
And you are tutoring with your leader which ones you actually want in the warp. If I could play it turn 2, I would always play it turn 2. I don't think I missed a single time today. I think I awakened every single game on turn 2.
Damn, nice, nice. Thwarting.
The next card is my personal favorite, Ss4 Gogeta. This card is absolutely ridiculous if you can get away with it. Unfortunately, it doesn't have deflect, so there's a lot of situations where you can't use it, and it's tapping 4 is pretty greedy, but sometimes just it's like tap 4, win the game.
Yep.
It warps 2 from field, 2 from hand.
Ignoring barrier, by the way.
Ignoring barrier. Unfortunately, it's their choice, but it's still just
You already
so much value. And it's 35 triple attack, which is basically infinite.
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
Most of the time, people will out-combo like the first or the second, and then they just won't have the combo power to deal with the third swing. And in combination with being able to just have other stuff on your board, if you have that plus anything else, it's just ridiculous.
It's curtains, you know?
Exactly. The SCR of choice is Kai.
So, I want to ask you about that. I obviously got to talk about it now, but a quick question before we go into it. Did you ever wish this was Pan?
I would 100% be playing Pan if I had it. I don't have Pan, so I play Kai. The fact that it's not free hurts. You don't always want to tap energy that isn't your main chain. But this card was just MVP today. I versed 2 Soul Strikers and 2 U7 Goku, and every single game I warped their Unison. I warped 2 Durans and 2 Ss3 Gogetas. It just won me 4 games today.
And you still still play Pan over it, even though it won you 4 out of your 5 games today, huh?
I think I was just lucky to see the exact matchups that it is super relevant in.
Yep.
But in general, I think Pan is consistently better. Like, just 40k for free is just...
Is better than 40k for 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think...
Just 40k for free is just another attack.
Yeah, I do think that the effects of the Kai are definitely significantly better than the Pan, but again, of course, that big difference, as you were saying, this card is not free, unlike Pan.
Yeah. One big thing I would say is stopping Unison swings was very good. Just playing it on my opponent's turns to stop Jirins, to stop Ss3 Gogetas. It just stops a lot of things in the meta at the moment that are big and you don't want to deal with them.
Cool. The MVP.
The MVP. 2 Chumpers. It's been around since set 1. We all know what it does. Shout out to Benny. I was actually going to cut it down to 1, but he convinced me to keep it at 2 because when you want it, and you want to see it. If it was at 1,
if you miss it, yeah.
If you miss it, you're sad.
Yep.
I do find that I personally see it more than I would like. But the good thing is, my leader can just get rid of it and I draw 2. So, no harm, no foul.
True. Have so much filter just from the leader alone, okay.
Exactly. And then we've got our Unison of choice, which is the Supreme Kai. I feel like you have to run this as your Unison. Bardock it doesn't awaken you on turn 2 or 3. This basically, if you see it on turn 2, you're basically guaranteed to awaken by turn 3 at minimum. Basically what it does is its +1 is you warp the top 3 cards of your deck. It's nothing crazy, nothing special, but it's perfect for the deck. And the thing that makes it insane for this deck is every time that you play a battle card from your warp, you tick it up and you draw a card. So a lot of the games that I get ahead of my opponent, I'm ending the game on like 7 or 8 markers on her. I'm doing whatever I want. I'm drawing cards, cycling cards. It's just, the leader already draws so many cards, and the fact that this makes you draw even more, it makes cards such as just like the Gohan blocker. That makes it so you warp it, draw 2, you play it, that's basically a +1, and then you draw another card. So you're basically like +4ing, which is
just ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And as you just said, this unison's essentially a +2. The active main +1 and the auto is additional +1. So you're getting 2 markers almost every turn on this card.
Yeah. Next card, Petrification.
U7, baby.
U7, and actually quite a lot of things in the meta. The blue Soul Striker that I versed actually went for a interesting skillless engine where they played the set 13 10-drop Gohan on me. And this card just said no.
Just said no.
They couldn't use it. Like, they swung in and then they just lost it. Next turn I just swing with thwarting, it's gone. Yeah, I think Petrification's the best negate in the game. Shout out to Benny again.
Best negate in the game, you reckon? Fair enough.
Yeah, he told me to run this one. This is all him, honestly. I was not running it. I didn't even consider it. But yeah, it is just absolutely insane.
Awesome.
Yeah, U7 being very relevant in the meta right now. This card just kind of stops Ultra Mastery from picking at your hand and kind of killing you.
Ultra Mastery, Vegeta, the list goes on, but yeah, Petrification is definitely a really solid card in the meta right now.
Yeah, and because you're thwarting and your leader sends it to the card to warp, I have had games in testing where my opponent drops 3 Ultra Mastery on me. They all end up in the warp. He drops his Vegeta Secret Rare, swings with it. I use the Kai negate.
Yeah, I got depression.
He comes back, he sends it to the warp.
Yeah.
All their boss monsters in the warp. They can't get it back. That's it. That's the game.
That's the game.
The next card is Super Kamehameha.
Benny.
It's like stops floodgates. Your deck doesn't like floodgates. Stops so much of your deck.
Did you hit anything relevant today with it?
I didn't use it to stop any floodgates, but I used it to stop. I can't remember. Oh, it was a
Vegeta.
Android 17 U7.
Yep.
And I just used it because I didn't want to let them see more cards. Like,
yeah, it's awesome. This card is just like the utility. The fact that this card is free once you awaken. So like this card came in a set of, I believe, every color got one of these. Funnily enough, this is the only one that didn't get SPR artwork, funnily enough. But this is also the only one that isn't restricted to you having a multicolor energy to play it for free. So this is arguably the best one out of that set.
yeah, it's just a very good card. You should play it if you have it.
If you're playing black, it's very good.
Yeah.
It stops like it stops pretty much every floodgate in the game.
Next card is the new Blocker Negate.
Yep.
When you awaken, you normally have 7 life, you take a couple hits, you're on 5. This card is just like...
Stop 2 attacks.
Stop 2 attacks. It feels like you're drawing a card because you are on such high life at basically every point in the game that you don't even care about taking a hit. It's a Blocker Negate, you know what it does. It's so good. It's amazing that they gave it to black.
Yep. And it's also a 5k combo, which is huge, you know?
Yes.
And yeah, that is the main board.
That's
so,
the main board.
Let's have a quick look at your side, man.
So I actually don't think I sided very well at this event. I felt like the main board was so strong that I hardly needed to side. But what I did have was
I
did have is Koitsukai. Just such a good card. Stops so many players. I did side it in. I don't think I resolved it a single time this event. I would consider running this in main board just because of the Trunks, 5-drop Trunks that can put it back and drop.
Yeah.
Very good card. One Fighting Against Fate.
I like Bardock.
I like Bardock. I had an extra slot. I could put it in over something else if I liked it, if I was against a particularly susceptible matchup to Fighting Against Fate. I think the one matchup I did put it in was Invoker, where I just wanted more gas. Unfortunately, it didn't help me win that matchup, but it was still very good. Next is my Not Losing to Sin package, which is 3 Dark King Splash and 2 Demigras. I didn't see a Sin all day. This is 5 wasted cards in my sideboard.
Wow, damn, okay, 5 wasted, huh? But if you verse Sin, it would be like 5 best cards in your sideboard.
Yeah, if I verse Sin, it's like... Exactly.
So, real quickly as well, I know that Benny actually has in his side 4 Demigras and 2 max powers we saw in the previous deck profile. Do you ever feel like you needed max power, or do you reckon the leader skill was enough to facilitate just clearing like big threats?
Honestly, when people pass turn to me, it's very unlikely they have anything on the board by the end of my turn. There's just so much removal for free in this deck that it's...
Absurd.
I don't really need to add max power in. Because if I can just stop the attack, that's enough. Removing it will take care of itself.
Cool.
And then we've got 1 Ss3 Gogeta, just a bit of barrier removal. I should have put this in against Invoker just to deal with the
Vegeta, yeah?
The Vegeta. I didn't. That was a misplay. But yeah, it's just there if you need to deal with barrier things. Otherwise, your deck has plenty of removal. You don't really need it. 1 Jiren. I would run this at 2 if I had to, but I've only got 1, just for turning against Tide. I didn't get turning the Tide on me at any point today, so didn't really need it, but good to have.
Good to have. Gotta respect turning the Tide.
Next is Protector of the People. I love this card. Against King Piccolo or anything remotely aggro, this is amazing. King Piccolo particularly, the Unison just kills your blockers, so this goes straight in for the blocker negate. And it just works a wonder. It's so good.
He protects the people, you know?
Yeah. It's actually 2 cards to your drop as well when you do it, because you have to pitch for it,
yep.
which fuels your next Overwhelm.
Yeah.
So it actually doesn't feel that bad to pitch for it.
Yeah. Well, we're saying as well that this card, so red has King Vegeta's Imposing Presence. In a lot of ways, this is every other color's King Vegeta Imposing Presence. Plus, it's also a little bit better because A, it stops the attack, and B, it also just pumps your leader 5k. So a lot of the time, it's really hard to swing through this.
Yeah, exactly. The next card is Mechikabura Broken Seal.
Mm-hmm.
I just put this in because this is another way I can deal with U7 Goku. Just declare 8 Son Goku, they can't play it. It's just that simple.
Just that easy, huh?
It's just such a coverall for the meta. Like, if you know your opponent's deck, then
you can counter it easily.
You can counter it, yeah. You just say the card that you don't want to see, and they're not playing it.
Yeah, it's also on color as well. So if you don't think you need it, you just charge it in your energy or whatever.
Yeah. I did side it in quite a few times today. Unfortunately, I just didn't see it all day.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Didn't need it.
Fair enough, man. Well, that's your deck profile. Obviously, everyone's taken a liking to Trunks, so it's awesome that you're able to do really well with it. Obviously, people, I was going to say before, people play more Gogeta Zeno, but this was, I'd say this is safe to say, second best or the best black leader in your eyes. So, yeah. Any shout outs you want to give to anyone before we wrap things up?
Obviously, shout out all the boys, John, Jesse, Benny, Nick, and Pele for coming out with me to Brisbane. Yeah, it has been a great trip. It was a great event, run really well, and I was very happy with the deck. So yeah.
5th place, baby. Well,
5th place.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time to do a deck profile with us, Jun. Awesome to see that your Trunks deck, piloted pretty well, and the leader looks insane. So yeah, hopefully some people, start to catch on the power of this deck. If you don't like going turbo glass cannon like what's that bad boy called Gogeta, you just play Trunks, take it a bit slower,
Yeah, I think this deck actually has a lot of potential, and I don't think it's fully cracked yet, but I think with time, we will see that this deck is very strong.
That is fair enough. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to give us a like if you enjoyed the video. Stay subscribed, comment below, whatever you want to, whatever you want to do.
Do all the good stuff.
Do all the good stuff. Only 50% of you guys are subscribed, so you know how it is. But yeah, thanks, Jun, so much for doing this deck profile with us, and yeah, hopefully we see you in another top cut soon, or top 8 soon.
Hopefully.
See yous.